know what I need. Some heels without guns.
Bayonetta 2 is a smart, confident sequel that knows exactly what it wants to be. It takes a long, hard look at the original game, keeping everything sacred intact, while deftly cleaving off any and all excess. Every chapter bursts with spectacle and every boss fight thrills. Perhaps most impressive, though, is that Bayonetta 2 is uncompromising. It's a violent, sexy, crude, and visually overwhelming rocket of a game, from beginning to end.
At least your lot still knows how to make an end.
Of course, much of the praise lavished on Bayonetta 2 also applies to the Witch's first outing. The game's beating heart, the combat, is ripped almost wholesale from its predecessor, and rightly so. Witch time remains one of the best mechanics in this or any action game. For those unfamiliar, Witch time activates by dodging a split second before an enemy attack hits. Doing so successfully distorts time, letting you freely wail away. It requires players to constantly put themselves at risk to reap the greatest reward. Instead of merely rolling around or blocking your way to victory, Bayonetta demands precision. It's one of the few games where the insanity happening on screen feels truly earned. The few additions the sequel adds only enhance the already excellent foundation. Most notable is the Umbran Climax, which can be unleashed after building a full magic meter through successful Witch time activations and combos. The Umbran Climax calls forth various demons, giving each of Bayonetta's attacks far more power and range. On top of everything, it adds even more chaos, making every fight stunning, bloody, and gleefully absurd. Also new is Tag Climax, an online co-op mode where two players place bets to see who can do better against a small arena of enemies. You can even take the money earned from Tag Climax and funnel it into all of the unlockables found in the story. While fighting alone is already a challenge, adding a layer of competition makes things even more intense. Unfortunately, the mode never really grows or expands significantly, preventing it from being substantial.
Sorry.
Easily the best change in Bayonetta 2 is its improved pace. For all of the first game's strengths, it had sections that dragged. Thankfully, the sequel has been sharpened to a nearly flawless degree. Every chapter lasts for as long as it needs to, and all of them are dramatically varied. In the prologue, you fight angels on top of a fighter jet that's zooming through Manhattan. Bayonetta's friend, Rodin, shows up in a Santa outfit and somehow manages to drive a car along the side of a skyscraper. All of this happens within the first 30 minutes, and it doesn't slow down from there. At around the halfway mark, you descend into hell with fleshy black tentacles and a crimson sky. One of the bosses is an enormous cyber manta ray with a skull in its underbelly and two gooey eyes that protrude from its fins. Bayonetta 2 thrives on throwing players into complete madness and letting them conquer it.
I think they've sent a welcoming party.
If everything was random for the sake of it, the appeal would quickly grow thin, but Bayonetta 2 deeply cares about its lore and characters. In the first game, Bayonetta played the overused role of an amnesiac fighting to get her memories back, but now she knows who she is and what she cares about. Very early on, her friend Jean is dragged into the underworld and Bayonetta goes charging after her. While it's never overdone, seeing Bayonetta care about others in such an overt way makes her more grounded than she felt previously. This is a better Bayonetta because it feels like there's more at stake. That's not to say that the story is without faults. While everything does tie together eventually, the game doesn't always do a great job at presenting its finer points. Expect to be occasionally lost when deducing specific motivations, relationships, or simply the order of events. Those that put in a little work can figure it all out, but it'd be nice if the game made certain things clearer up front.
Enzo, you've got a jet, right?
What? No! No, 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 I do not know!
Even if you don't care one bit about the plot, it hardly matters. Bayonetta is such a fantastic lead character that the ride is enjoyable regardless. She exudes confidence with a commanding authority. Sure, her clothes often disappear and there is the occasional close-up of her crotch or breasts, but it happens for a reason. Bayonetta is not only completely satisfied with who she is, she flaunts it in such an empowering way, using sexuality to humiliate her enemies and flipping the script on what we typically see. Every single moment, Bayonetta is in total control, never following the whims of anyone else or seeking approval. Much like the character herself, the way Bayonetta 2 handles unlockables is surprisingly unconventional. There are so many outfits and weapons that can be earned, with none of them hidden behind pre-order bonuses or DLC. As if that weren't enough, the game comes with an enhanced version of the original Bayonetta. Rarely are we so rewarded for a purchase. If only this were the norm instead of the exception.
You're thinking, shut up and take my halos. Let's do it.
From its peerless combat to its outlandishly entertaining world, Bayonetta 2 is a triumph. Platinum Games has created a classic so thoroughly excellent that it can't be ignored. Action games don't get better than this.
That shit's rich, I tell you what.